Welcome to True Fear Files, where we uncover the darkest and most chilling true stories that the world tried to forget. I'm your host, and tonight, we're diving into the most infamous unsolved murder case in history. A case that has captivated the world for over 135 years. A case about a killer who stalked the foggy streets of Victorian London, butchering women in the dead of night. A killer who taunted police with letters signed in blood. A killer whose identity remains a mystery to this day. This is the story of Jack the Ripper. Imagine walking through the dark, narrow streets of London in 1888. Gas lamps flicker. Fog rolls in from the Thames. The air smells of coal smoke and decay. You hear footsteps behind you, but when you turn around, no one is there. And then, in the shadows, you see him. A man in a dark coat and top hat. He tips his hat, smiles, and disappears into the fog. This was the nightmare that haunted the women of Whitechapel. Because somewhere in those streets, Jack the Ripper was hunting. August 31st, 1888, Whitechapel, East London. A poverty-stricken neighborhood filled with overcrowded tenements, crime, and desperation. In the early morning hours, the body of Mary Ann Nichols, a 43-year-old woman, was found on Bucks Row. Her throat had been slashed so deeply that her head was nearly severed. Her abdomen had been mutilated with brutal precision. There was no sign of a struggle, no witnesses, no clues. Police initially believed it was an isolated murder, but they were wrong. This was the beginning of a reign of terror that would grip London for months. Just 8 days later, on September 8th, another body was discovered. Annie Chapman, age 47, was found in the backyard of 29 Hanbury Street. Like Mary Ann Nichols, her throat had been cut. But this time, the killer had gone further. Her abdomen had been opened, and some of her internal organs had been removed with surgical precision. Investigators were horrified. Whoever was doing this had knowledge of human anatomy. The killer wasn't just murdering, he was dissecting. The media began to take notice. Newspapers dubbed the unknown assailant Leather Apron, referring to a rumor that the killer wore a leather apron like a butcher or surgeon. Panic spread through Whitechapel. Women were afraid to walk the streets at night. The police launched a massive investigation, but they had no leads. And the killer was just getting started. On September 30th, 1888, Jack the Ripper committed what would become known as the double event. 2 murders in one night. The first victim was Elizabeth Stride, age 44. She was found with her throat cut in Dutfield's yard. But this time, something was different. The killer had been interrupted. A man driving a cart came down the alley, and the killer fled before he could mutilate the body. Frustrated, the Ripper moved quickly to another location. Less than an hour later, Catherine Eddowes, age 46, was found in Mitre Square. This time, the killer finished what he started. Her throat was slashed. Her face was mutilated. Her abdomen was opened, and organs were removed. It was the most horrific crime scene police had ever witnessed. But then, something even more chilling happened. Near the crime scene, police found a message written in chalk on a wall. It read, "The yous are the men that will not be blamed for nothing." Was this written by the killer? Or was it just graffiti? We'll never know. Police erased it before it could be photographed, fearing it would incite anti-Semitic violence. Then came the letters. In late September, a letter arrived at the Central News Agency in London. It was written in red ink and addressed to Dear Boss. The letter began, "I am down on whores and I shan't quit ripping them till I do get buckled. Grand work the last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeal." The letter was signed, "Yours truly, Jack the Ripper." This was the first time the name Jack the Ripper was used. The letter was initially dismissed as a hoax, but then on October 16th, another letter arrived. This one was even more disturbing. It came in a small cardboard box. Inside was half of a human kidney, preserved in alcohol. The letter that accompanied it claimed the kidney belonged to Catherine Eddowes, one of the victims. The writer said he had fried and eaten the other half. The letter was signed, "From Hell." Medical experts examined the kidney and confirmed it was human, and it matched the type removed from Eddowes. Whether the letter was genuinely from the killer or an elaborate hoax remains debated to this day, but it terrified the public. November 9th, 1888. The final and most brutal murder attributed to Jack the Ripper. Mary Jane Kelly, a 25-year-old woman, was found dead in her room at 13 Miller's Court. What the killer did to her was beyond comprehension. Her throat was cut down to the spine. Her face was slashed beyond recognition. Her entire body had been systematically mutilated. Organs were removed and placed around the room. It took investigators hours to process the scene. This was not just murder. It was annihilation. The brutality was so extreme that many believe the killer knew Mary Jane Kelly personally. After this murder, the killings attributed to Jack the Ripper stopped. Why? No one knows. The investigation into Jack the Ripper was one of the largest in history at the time. Over 2,000 people were interviewed. Hundreds of suspects were investigated. But no one was ever charged. The case remains officially unsolved. So who was Jack the Ripper? Over the decades, more than 100 suspects have been proposed. Some are credible, others are absurd. Let's look at the most popular theories. Theory 1, Montague John Druitt, a barrister and teacher who committed suicide in December 1888, shortly after the last murder. Police at the time believed he was a strong suspect, but there was no evidence linking him to the crimes. Theory 2, Aaron Kosminski, a Polish immigrant and barber who lived in Whitechapel. He was committed to an asylum in 1891. In 2014, DNA evidence from a shawl allegedly belonging to one of the victims was said to match Kosminski's descendants. But the evidence has been widely disputed. Theory 3, Prince Albert Victor, the grandson of Queen Victoria. Some conspiracy theorists believe the royal family covered up his involvement. But historians have debunked this theory. The prince had alibis for several of the murders. Theory 4, a doctor or surgeon. The precision of the mutilations suggests the killer had medical knowledge. Several doctors have been investigated, but none were ever proven guilty. Theory 5, a woman. Some believe Jack the Ripper was actually a woman, possibly a midwife, which would explain how the killer could approach victims without raising suspicion. This theory is controversial, but has its supporters. The truth is, we may never know who Jack the Ripper was. Why did the murders stop? Some believe the killer died or was institutionalized. Others think he simply moved away or stopped killing. Another theory suggests the killer was arrested for a different crime and imprisoned. We'll never know for sure. But one thing is certain. Jack the Ripper changed the world. He was one of the first serial killers to capture global media attention. His crimes led to major reforms in police investigation techniques, and his legend has endured for over a century. To this day, Jack the Ripper remains the most famous unsolved murder case in history. 5 women brutally killed in the fog-covered streets of Victorian London. A killer who taunted police and disappeared into the shadows. And a mystery that has fascinated the world for 135 years. Who was Jack the Ripper? Was it Montague Druitt, Aaron Kosminski, a royal conspirator, or someone whose name we'll never know? The answer is lost to history, but the legend will never die. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you want more chilling true crime stories like this. And let me know in the comments, who do you think Jack the Ripper was? Until next time, stay safe. And maybe avoid dark alleys and the fog.